Good evening and welcome to the news. The Wednesday package, as usual, brings refreshing views, reviews, previews, and interviews on topical and developing stories inspired by Nigerians and Nigeria. We will be providing new perspectives to current events. Tonight, let's kick it off. Nigeria-Germany solidified bilateral ties following state visit by President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, the second by German leaders in 14 months. With nation's land transport, fuel consumption reducing from 60 million litres to 45 million daily, and the resuscitation of old Port Harcourt refinery. Is it the final blow to fuel queues? Find out tonight. The House of Representatives puts customs under microscope. Border operations. National Grid is in the news again. Another disturbance recorded as NEC says price increase must match power supply. On business, Benny Adams is on standby to tell us why women entrepreneurs are in for a big boost. And Badia Adeleye is on the touchline with the latest from the world of sports. As we see on this shift, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Yenri John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Now let's hear the road as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu today received President of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, nudging the both German government and investors to leverage the newly improved business climate and improve German investment in Nigeria. State House correspondent Musbao Danwahab reports that both leaders expressed hope for greater partnership between both countries.
New expectation emerges on the Nigeria-Germany relations with the arrival of German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier at the State House. It is barely a year after the visit of the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and a return visit by President Bola Tinubu months later.
96 soldiers on parade, ready for your inspection, Your Excellency.
After the warm reception by President Tinubu, the Presidential Guards Brigade did the honors with parades and inspection. And then, significantly, 21 gun salutes. The two presidents led their parties into a series of bilateral meetings. There are existing relations and trade, particularly in energy, agricultural products, as well as oil and gas, to the tune of $3 billion, and Nigeria is currently rated the second largest trading partner of Germany in sub-Saharan Africa. But here were discussions to consider new areas for partnership, particularly in technological innovation and creativity, climate change and energy transition, education and culture, as well as the possibility for a binational commission.
The presidents are in.
From the discussions came new hopes as both leaders acknowledged that there are still immense opportunities yet untapped. And President Bola Tinubu equally recognizes the readiness of the two countries' business community to partner more and says they can now leverage on the improved business climate occasioned by his administration's reforms.
We have an open door policy. Easy of entry, easy of exit. What I mean by that, there's no longer bureaucracy in establishing your business venture here. We have tax reforms that is private sector friendly. We have import duty waivers for machinery. We have so many other incentives that will help establish private businesses.
For the new level of partnership expected, both leaders put to back up with political will by their respective governments.
We have the population that is a market friendly. We have industrial plan that is anxious for establishment of assembly plant. We equally have solid mineral on the immense proportion that we can harness to attract German businesses and partner, for progress.
We promised each other that we both, with our opportunities, and the governments on both sides will do everything in our power to promote political and cultural ties and also promote and intensify people-to-people contacts.
The German head of state, however, commended President Tinubu as ECOWAS chairman for efforts to ensure peace and stability in West African sub-region.
You try to contain the negative impacts of this, and you put in all your diplomatic efforts to stabilize regional cooperation and preserve regional cooperation, which is so important.
In the end, no new bilateral agreement signed yet, but both presidents have agreed on working out new areas of collaboration for a more rewarding partnership. From the State House, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
Many thanks, Musbah. Away from the State House now, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIB, has commenced an investigation into the runway incursion involving the Boeing 737 cargo aircraft operated by Allied Air. The incident occurred at about 6 minutes past 10 o'clock local time on Wednesday, December 11, 2024, at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The aircraft took off from Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, skidded off the right side of the runway 22 into the grass verge after landing. Though the aircraft sustained significant damage, no fatalities or injuries to the crew or ground personnel have been reported. Emergency response teams were promptly deployed to the scene to ensure safety of all personnel and security of the site. The NSIB has initiated an investigation to determine the factors that led to the incident. Let's look at the oil and gas sector now. Introduction of CNG in the nation's land transport industry has reduced the level of fuel consumption from 60 million litres to 45 million daily. And with the coming up of the old Port Harcourt refinery, the fuel demand of the country will be largely addressed within. Mia Ogidi reports on the several efforts by the federal government to achieve this feat.
An estimated 13.9 million registered vehicles, consuming 45 million litres of petrol daily. And part of their survival depends on the functionality of these two brothers, as it were. One born in 1965, another 1989. The old and new Port Harcourt refineries, co-located at the Leme axis of Rivers State, with combined installed capacity of 210,000 barrels per day. For years, the flames went off, subjecting the oil-rich Nigeria to import petrol. March 2019, the facility finally shut down for $1.5 billion repairs. But this was quite foot-dragging. With the famous statement of subsidy is gone by President Bola Tinubu in May 2023, rekindled the need to reactivate refineries in the country. And the federal government made a promise to labor unions.
When there was increase in pump price of petroleum products, part of that agreement was that this station must work.
Then the once quiet plant suddenly hosted a team of engineers for mechanical works and general repairs. Life finally at the end of the tunnel, November 27, 2024, took many by surprise. The 59-year-old old Port Harcourt refinery with 60,000 barrels per day production back to life.
The result is now the plant is up and running, and most importantly, if you look at the fire, it's very clean. There's no smoke.
There is leadership support, which is very critical that things get done. And we thank Mr. President for the leadership support that he gave us.
As the old one is back, hope for the new one also much alive.
And now that it is working, it is our duty, to come here to confirm that it is working.
The old Port Harcourt refinery was actually built in 1965, but with the re-engineering of the entire process, you could say that we have a relatively new refinery today.
Keep the flames on and let this great move reflect in the availability and prices of the various petroleum products. The labor unions pleaded with the federal government after taking a tour of the plant in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Mie Okidi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the organized labor leaders in Nigeria have voiced opposition to any proposed privatization of the country's refineries, warning that such a move could exacerbate the ongoing economic challenges. They argued that privatization would not only threaten jobs, but also compromise the quality and accessibility of fuel to citizens.
Undated with reports about the situation at the Port Harcourt refinery, organized labor leaders are amongst the first group to arrive there. They went to see firsthand the functionality of the 60,000 barrels per day old refinery, which was confirmed to be working currently at 70% of its installed capacity. There are also plans to ramp the refinery up to 90%. At the new refinery, optimism is high that the 150,000 barrels per day plant will also commence production soon, thereby boosting total output to 210 barrels per day. The labor leaders, however, unanimous that contemplating privatization of the refineries will be counterproductive.
There's no evidence that privatization has worked in this nation. And then it would be wrong for us to repeat the experience, given the sensitive nature of the product that comes out from here.
Having been taken around, and I saw the massive investment that was made here, I believe too that selling this entire project, to some individuals will not be to the interest of Nigerians.
We've reiterated over time that government should bring about the NLNG model in the operation of the refineries. So for us, our interest is sustaining the production level of the refineries.
They argue that privatization will not only threaten jobs, but also compromise the quality and accessibility of fuel for citizens, citing past privatization failures, including the cancellation of refinery sales, which they believe stunted operational efficiency. They are categorical in emphasizing the need for government to deepen accountability and investment in public infrastructure rather than outsourcing to private entities. The Executive Vice President downstream NNPC Limited assured them that the NNPC Limited will continue to carry them along as critical stakeholders.
Nigerians and all of us are comfortable that this refinery is running, producing and refining. And then, of course, with all the various products that we produce here in the old Port Harcourt refinery.
Intensifying efforts to ensure Kaduna and Warri refineries be back on stream in line with President Bola Tinubu's revitalization agenda for Nigeria's petroleum industry, the leaders agreed is utmost priority. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria has reaffirmed its leadership in the global energy sector with the appointment of Ademola Adeyemi Ibero, Nigeria's governor for OPEC and chairman OPEC Board of Governors for 2025. His appointment was confirmed at the 189th meeting of the OPEC conference. The appointment highlights Nigeria's influence within the organization of the petroleum exporting countries, OPEC, and underscores the nation's commitment to shaping global energy policies. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Henneken Okwobiri, described Adeyemi Ibero's elevation as a testament to the country's active contributions to the global oil industry. The minister also expressed profound gratitude to Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, the outgoing Nigerian OPEC governor, for his exemplary service. In the same vein, OPEC has appointed Adeb Ib Al-Amar, Governor of Saudi Arabia for OPEC as the alternate chairman of the Board of Governors for 2025. Now, to promote the CNG initiative of the federal government, Portland Gas Limited, in collaboration with Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority, has opened an authorized CNG conversion center at One, River State. Ijoma Ogweke reports that the event had key players in the energy sector who lauded efforts to promote sustainable energy development in the region.
Establishment of the CNG Conversion Center is part of the efforts of Portland Gas Limited in collaboration with Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority towards the implementation of the CNG initiative of the federal government. The initiative aims to promote the use of compressed natural gas as a cleaner and more affordable alternative to petrol and diesel. Minister of Trade and Investment represented emphasized the importance of keying into this initiative as it is part of government's efforts to reduce the country's reliance on fossil fuels.
Almost everybody here enters a vehicle. Whether you have a vehicle or not, indirectly and directly you key to it. And that will be a very great advantage to all of us.
Our operational model will leverage the advantages of the Free Zone Streamline regulations, tax incentive and access to highly skilled workforce to maximize efficiency and drive economic growth and environmental benefit of CNG.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has done a huge job in making sure that CNG adoption today is on its highest peak.
Other key players appreciated the efforts to establish a CNG conversion center that meets regulatory standards in One oil and gas free zones.
The number of conversion centers has risen from 7. So last count on Friday, we had 153 of them. Those 7 were in 5 states. The 153 today are now in about 23 states of the country.
The NATO, the umbrella body of transport owners. So we want to say authoritatively that few of our vehicles that we have converted, there are a lot of advantage.
Ijoma Ogweke, NTA News.
The news, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, unveils the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA Flight Data Center, to proactively detect potential safety risk and enhance oversight functions of the authority. Correspondent Aliyu Kabir reports.
Apart from equipping the staff with the requisite knowledge of the global operation of the aviation regulations as stipulated by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, which Nigeria is signatory to, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, is here again unveiling the Flight Monitoring Data Center. Unveiling the center situated at the NCAA corporate headquarters in Abuja, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, applauds the significance of the entire flight data analysis and monitoring system, which involves the systematic collection, processing and evaluation of flight data from aircraft to identify trends, anomalies and safety issues.
One of our 5-point agenda is to improve safety within the sector. This initiative here today actually speaks to that the fact that we are concentrating here on improving safety within the sector, and that of course would mean that we'll keep moving up in the rating of ICAO.
Ensure implementation of corrective actions and safety improvements. Like I can tell you for free that we can monitor airpiece, E-bomb, because those people carry boarded aircraft. We can monitor all these people, just plug it into their FDM and monitor where they're going wrong, how they're doing it, and we can now call them to say, look, you are doing this and you're overdoing it. So it's a big plus for us.
The minister explains that all these tries are geared towards improving safety standards, thereby boosting international confidence in Nigerian aviation safety standards. In Abuja, Aliyu Kabir.
Change your world by changing what's on your plate.
Thank you for staying with us. Governors of the governing All Progressives Congress and members of the National Assembly, some ministers and heads of key government establishments have risen from a closed-door session that lasted several hours. Some of the prominent figures in attendance are Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, governors of APC states, ministers of Information and National Orientation, and that of Budget and National Planning. Others are members of the National Working Committee of the governing All Progressives Congress, led by its national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Addressing the media shortly after the closed-door session, Chairman, Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, says the meeting is to strengthen support for the APC national government.
August meeting for our party is a family meeting. We discussed how to manage our midterm congress and then how to strengthen our party and support Mr. President to succeed. That's all.
In other news, the Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development Management Board, Engineer Felix Ogbe, has challenged media practitioners to rise up to the responsibility of setting agenda by disseminating factual information about the growing activities of the board as one of its closest partners since its inception in 2010. The Executive Secretary gave the charge at this year's Nigerian Content Capacity Building Training for media stakeholders in Port Harcourt. Ifoma Aikoje has all the details.
Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, established 14 years ago, has been pursuing its mandate of providing for the development of Nigerian content in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Now, with the launch of Back to the Creek initiative, targeted at intervening in capacity building in other sectors of the rural communities, the board is still on course of meeting 70% impact on its original mandate in the next 2 years. The Executive Secretary, represented by the General Manager, Corporate Communication of the board, Esweme Kikile, challenges journalists to do more by interrogating the board in line with the agenda-setting doctrine of the media in the interest of the oil and gas industry and the Nigerian people.
Back to the Creek initiative. It speaks to the fact that we need our communities to feel the impact of our industry.
The workshop on the theme, the role of media and communication in sustaining the tempo of Nigerian content development, had paper presentations on implementing the presidential directives on local content compliance and reduction of petroleum sector contracting cycle to less than 6 months, emphasizing that the directive is simply to strengthen the workings of the board.
Correcting our own staff internally. If somebody calls Semicom and says he's bash holding this document, my director should come here and warn me or reprimand me. How can you be holding this document for 15 days?
Engage a lot in every sense, in terms of working with you, in terms of building capacity, in terms of even being open as much as possible. And what we want in return, cooperation.
We have success stories of the Colemans of this world, of Michael and Cables. We have all of those success stories and many more.
Ifoma Aikoje, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the federal government has reiterated commitment to drive Nigeria's economy through pragmatic policies, including the tax reform bill. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, re-emphasized this, among others, at the International Press Institute Nigeria Annual Conference. Ayodeji Makinde reports.
The faces, voices and fingers that have molded and are shaping Nigeria's social, political and cultural landscapes are here in Abuja. The theme for the annual conference of International Press Institute Nigeria is democracy, media freedom and the imperative of protecting the Nigerian civic space. Professor Tony Iradia explains the need to have legal backing that empowers freedom of the press. He identifies lingering challenges in the media space while proffering solutions in an over-regulated environment.
If we can do some level of inward looking, we will find that so much of what is wrong with the media is self-made. So if we understand the needs of each of these forms, we will be doing a better work for democracy.
Information and National Orientation Minister Mohammed Idris acknowledges the increasing role of media in preserving Nigeria's democratic values. The FG spokesperson calls for healthy debates, objective criticisms, and respect for the rights of other people as President Bola Tinubu's 8 key priority areas are on course.
The tax reform initiative of this administration, which will go a long way towards simplifying Nigeria's existing tax regimes and making compliance easier, while also reducing the tax burden on the most vulnerable Nigerians. A recurring highlight of the reform is the introduction of several new tax exemptions that will benefit various categories of individuals and businesses, the media industry inclusive.
Other speakers set the template for panel discussions, which featured experts from the police and other stakeholders. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
Let's take a look at the health sector now as the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, says President Bola Tinubu has empowered health officials to remove all obstacles previously in the way of large-scale health sector manufacturing in the country by establishing the Presidential Healthcare Value Chain Unlocking Program. The coordinating minister stated this at the signing of 2 memoranda of understanding with Siemens Health and Abbott Diagnostics at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja.
Always a pleasure. Yes, no, welcome. Once again, really sorry.
Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, welcomes new investors who have come to sign deals to enhance in-country manufacturing.
In the midst of expanding our primary healthcare system, more than 8,800 units, we are expanding CMONC facilities, 774. We will provide obstetric services. What we want is to have the retail outlets for health delivery, where there's a physical location, there are health workers, they are equipped, they are trained, and they are commodities. And on the affordability, we have an insurance program that allows folks to be able to access it. Simple.
This is one of those milestone events and activities that we don't see often, that from our side, it's a sign also, I hope, that you can see of confidence in Nigeria, but also in the Nigerian government, in your office.
After the landmark investment deals were signed, the national coordinator of the Presidential Healthcare Value Chain Unlocking Program, Abdul Mukhtar, detailed the outcomes.
Siemens is also looking to localize the production of ultrasound machines. They will be producing ultrasound machines at least 1,000 per annum at the beginning, and will increase this significantly over the next few years. Today, we've signed 2 MOUs. The first one is with Abbott Diagnostics to actually set up operations locally to produce test kits for HIV, for malaria, for other STIs and other diseases that we call point-of-care diagnostics.
It is expected that these multi-million-dollar investment deals, which commence immediately, would contribute thousands of jobs and new revenues toward the growth of the Nigerian economy. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Bureau of Statistics says the National Health Survey 2023 report can serve as a tool for policymakers to address infant mortality rate in the country, which stands at 65% per 1,000 live births and shortage of essential medicine at 35%. Statistician General of the Federation, Prince Adeyemi Adeniran, said this at the launch of the National Health Facility Survey 2023 report in Abuja. Musa Abubakar has a fact sheet on the latest survey.
Thank you, Ayre. Key findings reveal significant gaps in the availability of essential drugs, basic medical equipment, and maternal health services. Only 35% of health facilities in Nigeria have essential drugs, with primary health facilities lagging behind at 34.3% compared to 50.6% in secondary facilities. Similarly, just 31.4% of facilities have basic medical equipment, with the secondary health facilities faring much better than primary facilities. When it comes to delivery equipment, only 40% of facilities have the necessary tools further highlighting challenges in maternal health readiness. Family planning commodities are also in short supply, with male condoms available in just 20.5% of facilities, injectables at 19.5%, pills at 18.5%, and implants at 17.8%. In terms of antenatal care, 79.7% of health facilities provide these services, with secondary facilities leading at 86.2% compared to 79.4% in primary facilities. However, the survey highlights significant shortcomings in postnatal care, which is available in only 17.5% of facilities. For delivery services, 67.5% of facilities provide support, but the availability of skilled birth attendants is alarmingly low, excluding community health extension workers. Only 13.5% of health facilities have skilled birth attendants, with primary facilities contributing a mere 11.4%. These findings underscores the urgent need to address critical deficiencies in Nigeria's healthcare system, especially in primary healthcare facilities, to ensure better service delivery and improve health outcomes for the citizens.
Many thanks, Musa, for that update. Let's move into the National Assembly swiftly now. In a step to revitalize the foundation of Nigeria's education, Senate is proposing amendments to the Universal Basic Education Act, thereby addressing challenges for effective implementation of the law. The proposed amendments are in sections 2, 3, 7, 9, 11, and 16 of the UBEC Act. National Assembly correspondent Lamiade reports on this and other considerations during Wednesday's plenary.
The UBEC Act was meant to provide a lifeline for the millions of children in Nigeria with regards to equitable access to basic education and other life skills. 20 years down the line, Senate is proposing amendments to address some areas like early childhood education, provision of infrastructure, guidelines on implementation and funding, among other key sections of the Act.
Increase the funding of the compulsory free universal basic education in Nigeria from 2% to 5% of the consolidated revenue fund.
The bill has been referred to the Senate's Committee on Basic and Secondary Education for consolidation, with a similar proposal from Senator Idiat Oloronti. Bill to establish Federal College of Vocational and Technical Studies in Benue State, sponsored by Senator Titus Zam, and bill to establish Federal University of Technology Akure Teaching Hospital, sponsored by Senator Adeni Adebomire, passed second reading.
Acquisition of vocational and technical skills is a major requirement for the economic viability and development of any given nation.
I cannot overemphasize the need for Nigeria to train more medical personnel, given its ever-increasing population and the brain drain presently being experienced in the medical sector.
Senate has urged the Federal Ministry of Works to release funds for the completion of Umuahia Ikotekpene Road, as raised by Senator Austin Akobundu. Edo State Governor Monday Okwewolo was admitted into the chamber during plenary for a valedictory.
I still remember the day my name was called as both Senate Committee Chairman and a member. I can always count on you for advice as I take on my new responsibility.
He has gone in history as one of the first governors who ordered 1 week started making appointments of men and women who will help to shape the economy and the social life of Edo State.
You can be intimidated, you can be blackmailed, you can be pushed around, but if you know what you stand for is the correct thing, stand by it. The committee he chaired, the moment he started work as chairman of that committee, he changed the entire trajectory of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Monday Okwewolo, Governor Edo said, we wish you well. You are a man of few words, but enormous action. Your attitude shall determine your altitude.
Before his election as governor, Senator Akpeolo represented Edo Central in the 10th Senate. The seat has been declared vacant as Senate urges the Independent National Electoral Commission to conduct election without delay. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Let's look at the Green Chamber now, which is set to investigate the operations of the Nigerian Customs Service across the nation's borders with a view to checkmating smuggling of contraband goods into the country. This resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance on the floor of the House.
The resolution of Parliament to investigate border operations of the Nigeria Customs Service stems from allegations of complicity and brutality leveled against some service personnel.
The actions of some officers within the Nigerian Customs Service contravene its core mandate, erode public trust, and raise concerns about oversight of joint security operations involving military personnel.
The reasons for establishment of customs services is not to treat human beings like animals. This huge treatment given to these civilians, the Nigerian Customs Service should apologize to Nigerians.
The dangers associated with robbery syndicates, also known as one-chance taxi operators in Abuja, also generated a call for action.
Urge the Inspector General of Police and other heads of security agencies to enhance surveillance in FCT and nip in the bud the activities of one chance.
Bills to establish more specialist eye care centers, as well as Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Ikosu Mobile Local Government Area of Ekiti State, sponsored by Representative Akinlayo Kolawole, scaled second reading.
With the JAPA syndrome we're having, there is actually a gap in manpower in the health institution. So if established, believe that it will bridge that gap.
Urge the federal government to prioritize the construction of Lafayette Dam in 2025 budget allocations.
That a bill for an act to make provision for the establishment of the National Institute of Agricultural Research and Entrepreneurship, Owodeyewa, Ogun State, and for related matters be read for second time.
At a public hearing on 5 bills seeking establishment of science and technology institutions and amendment of the NOTAP Act, lawmakers expressed commitment to bridging gaps in research funding.
This public hearing is crucial to our national development, particularly in the face of daunting insecurity and the serious economic challenges.
To encourage, regulate, and commercialize invention, innovation, and research and development.
The proposed bills received the support of key players in the sector. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Let's move away from the National Assembly now as part of efforts to touch the lives of indigent people. Senator Ibrahim Lamido of Sokoto East Senatorial District has sponsored 30 students to study different courses in India. NTA camera lens captured the mood of the enthusiastic students at the airport as they traveled out of the country.
No doubt, northern Nigeria is educationally disadvantaged due to the number of factors, of which is cultural and concerned by the level of lack of education among the people. Senator Ibrahim Lamido came up with the idea of sponsoring the students from his senatorial district, the first batch to go and study outside the shores of Nigeria and India to also realize their potentials in life.
I commend the distinguished senator to see to it that some students were taken to India to study first degree and second degree. This is the first of its kind in the history of Sokoto State. On the part of students, they are not only representing Sokoto, but they are representing Nigeria. Therefore, we expect them to be good ambassadors down there to concentrate on their studies, especially those going for undergraduate. They are 41 in number, ranging from first degree and second degree.
He has paid their scholarship, feeding, accommodation, medical issue. These are the token of $500 for them to hold.
The students confirmed that the senator never met any of them and commended him for the gesture of being generous to his people.
Senator Ibrahim Lamido paid me scholarship to go to India to study. I'm so happy. May Allah get him with all the best.
I really appreciate for being among the beneficiaries who had to go to study in India under Senator Ibrahim Lamido's sponsorship.
They have since arrived in New Delhi in India. The students were received by the officials and were treated to a dinner.
All right, now a member representing Apapa Federal Constituency, Honorable Adedayo Samuel Adeshola, has again empowered hundreds of his constituents with various items that will serve as sources of income for them and their families. Hingino John Adams, who attended the empowerment program, will tell us more.
These items are set for distribution to the people of Apapa Federal Constituency. Member representing the constituency, Adeshola Samuel Adedayo, says the empowerment initiative is a way of ensuring his constituents always enjoy dividends of democracy. With series of empowerment programs already held and more in the pipeline, Adedayo promised to continue improving the lives of the people in the area.
I hope that today's beneficiary will put the empowerment materials provided to judicious use to also contribute meaningfully to the socio-economic development.
For some beneficiaries, the gesture is coming at the right time as it will help alleviate effects of the current economic realities.
Today is one of the most happiest days in my life for Honorable Dr. Adeshola Adedayo to remember someone like me in his laudable empowerment program, and by giving me this marwa so that I can be able to use it to do other side also.
He has been empowering a lot of people collectively, generally, and a lot of people are beneficiary of it.
The items distributed include 10 tricycles, 18 freezers, 25 generators, 51 grinding machines, and 51 sewing machines. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Creating a safe and conducive learning environment for Nigerian students requires decisive and proactive measures to address the growing issue of bullying and violence in schools. The federal government is working on developing a comprehensive national policy aimed at tackling these challenges. Zenret Dingmun will feed us.
Raising concerns over decline in students' academic performance nationwide prompted the Federal Ministry of Education to investigate the root causes. The findings revealed that fear and anxiety stemming from hostile school environments are major contributors to this alarming trend. The Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Tunji Alausa, emphasizes government's commitment to addressing these issues through a holistic approach to discipline. The proposed policy will introduce tailored strategies for addressing bullying, ensuring domestication across the states, and enforcing strict penalties for non-compliance with anti-bullying regulations.
Just not going to use the law. You told me to give you some sneak preview on the policy we're going to come about. We talk about advocacy, we talk about counseling, we talk about engagement as part of this policy. Before we even get to the punitive part, we also talk about how we're going to be expanding opportunities for our youth, giving them life skills. We talk about a new reinvigorated approach to technical, vocational education and training.
This government has a passion for education and therefore will move towards ensuring that that policy is fully implemented, not only at the national level, but also at the state level.
Stakeholders believe this initiative is a crucial step towards eradicating the persistent issue of bullying and violence in schools, creating a safer and more supportive environment for learning. In Abuja, Zenret Dingmun, NTA News.
And still looking at education, Jigawa State Government signs a multi-billion naira memorandum of understanding with an education project consultant, the New Globe. Muhammad Musa Askira reports that the project, tagged Unified Movement of Teaching and Education, to be known as Jigawa Unite, is hoped to transform the basic education in the state for better performance.
The Memorandum of Understanding stakeholders in the education sector say will mark a new beginning in the transformation efforts of the state government in the education sector. Shortly after signing the agreement for the period of 5 years, Governor Umar Namadi states that no qualitative education without strong foundation as such, this project will prepare the ground for the new beginning in the basic education subsector. Studies have shown that out of 8 pupils in primary 1 to 6 Jigawa State, 7 cannot read and write, the statistic that motivate the governor to declare a state of emergency in the basic education subsector. The Chief Executive Officer, New Globe, J. Kimelman, who commends Governor Umar Namadi for being a leader that cares for the future of the citizens living in the state, assures the governor that they will pursue the implementation of the 5-year project with unwavering commitments and dedication.
Our engagement today with the New Globe to revamp the basic education is a deliberate attempt to ensure that we have revamped the entire education system in Jigawa State. What we are doing today, history will judge us right.
Education is the foundation of lasting prosperity. It's the surest path to economic growth and societal progress. Together, with the launch of Jigawa Unite, we're going to transform education for every child here in the state, for them to reach their full potential.
These stakeholders note will accelerate development that will guarantee better education for the younger generation in Jigawa State. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
And from Jigawa, we head to Borno State, where the governor, Babagana Umar Zulum, has named a housing estate built for federal workers and a secondary school after Vice President Kashim Shettima. The governor announced this during the inauguration of 4 developmental projects within the Maiduguri Metropolitan Council and environs, performed by the Yobe State Governor, Mala Abune. Mohammed Goni is our guide.
The developmental projects inaugurated by Yobe State Governor include 500 housing estate at Njimtilo, named after Mala Buni, 72 units, 3-bedroom metro housing estate, named after the Vice President, built for federal government employees working in the state. Borno Express flyover and dualization of Shehu Garbai Road, which form part of the over 30-kilometer internal road network constructed within the state capital and environs. Governor Zulum, who assured citizens of the state of more developmental projects, also named Mairi Government Day Secondary School after the Vice President and another day secondary school after the Shehu of Borno.
These projects are a testament to our administration and unwavering commitment to providing affordable housing, improving infrastructure, and driving economic growth and development.
Today, Borno and Yobe states are both striving to emerge out of that challenge by adopting the Rehabilitation, Reconstruction and Recovery Program.
Governor Buni also advised the beneficiaries and other citizens to take ownership of the houses and other infrastructure provided by government. Commissioner for Works Mustapha Gubio applauded the commitment of the state authorities to infrastructure development efforts to improve the lives of the citizenry in Maiduguri.
Thank you for remaining with us. As action against gender-based violence intensify, more survivors breaking the silence and looking beyond the scars. Elizabeth Amori reports that at a forum in Abuja, where rural women farmers showcased their produce, some survivors of gender-based violence were empowered financially to start or boost their businesses.
From the 6 area councils of the FCT and have similar stories to tell, but they're not deterred because their never give up spirit is undying. Favor is a point of sale operator and a gender-based violence survivor. She says the traumatic impact of GBV threatens not only the rights of women, also the attainment of sustainable development goals.
I've been idle for a while now, doing nothing, and I've been looking for what to do. So at least with the little capital they are giving me, at least it will help me do something.
One of the issues causing sexual and gender-based violence is lack of financial empowerment for these women. But once we are able to set her up and empower her financially, we see that it drastically reduces the rate of sexual and gender-based violence.
The other segment are women who have embraced farming. They insist their role in ensuring food security cannot be ignored, but supported. And this day, their efforts have paid off.
As a businesswoman, the cost of purchasing, production of food is high.
They're just like the unsung heroes. Without these farmers, we cannot eat. So without them, we cannot survive.
For the Nigerian woman to thrive, they suggest flexible bank rates to boost businesses, access to quality health care, and prioritization of education for women and girls. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Similarly, more women businesses in Nigeria are set to receive financial boosts. This is as the Development Bank of Nigeria and the Development Bank of France reach agreement in Abuja to support Nigerian women businesses with a €50 million credit line. Benny Adams reports that this is also coming on the heels of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
The Agency François de Development Group, AFD, a public financial institution, has been impacting on Nigeria's economy in the last 15 years. Today's visit to the Development Bank of Nigeria is to strengthen a 7-year-old partnership. It is a union of equal partners with shared challenges and have a common goal of addressing them with a common response. This time, it is about women-owned businesses in Nigeria, and €50 million is involved.
You have small businesses that their needs are in the range of 100,000 and up to the ones that got 1.8 billion, as the case may be. Now, we are now focusing on women-owned businesses, which is women entrepreneurs. So this amount is sizable when it comes to only women-owned businesses because it's a focused area. So we believe that this is an inroad, and we believe that this is going to be the beginning of more funding to come to that area.
The €50 million can be small as regards the size of Nigeria, but it can be big as regards MSMEs businesses. So basically, we had to start with something.
I think we'll have a great success because the impact of women empowerment through entrepreneurship is something which has been already acknowledged as a game changer.
Funding of women-owned businesses is key focus area of intervention by the Development Bank of Nigeria, as the bank believes that scaling up women businesses is central to economic growth. They say with the success of existing partnerships comes more funding in addition to capacity building. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
That was Benny's voice. Now we get to see him on Business Update. Business. Benny, feed us.
Yes, thank you very much, Iyere, from that women empowerment to bringing you up to speed on the race between the Nigerian naira and the US dollar alongside other currencies. It brings us to the fact that at the close of trading today, the exchange rate in the official market weakened marginally to 1,545 naira to the dollar from 1,522 naira yesterday. However, parallel market rates continue to trade between 1,730 to 1,740 to a dollar. Let's take a look at the numbers at this time. We're actually hoping that in the days to come ahead, the naira will continue to appreciate against the dollar. Moving on, oil prices rose on Wednesday with market participants expecting demand to rise in China, the world's largest crude importer, after Beijing announced it would relax a monetary policy to try to stimulate economic growth, just as gold hit 2-week highs with spotlight on U.S. inflation and data. And we have some numbers also. Midweek trading on the exchange, the market was positive, building on gains recorded yesterday. This shows a sustained investors' interest across all sectors. And looking at the numbers from 0.10 yesterday, we have a more like a 20 digits increase to 0.13%, taking our market capitalization to 59.7 trillion from 59.5 trillion. And looking at the volume of shares, yes, moved from 939.4 to 320.2, but the number of deals also matters, where we had 9,000 yesterday. Today we're having 7,943, but value has also dropped from 12.8 billion to 6.48 billion. But overall, the all share index is 98,509.69, more like an appreciation from 98,206.97. And compared with the previous trading day, like we've seen in the numbers, today's data actually shows a 66% decline in the number of the volumes, while we have a 49% decline in turnover and 13% decline in deals. And on the aggregate, we have 130 listed equities participating in the trading, ending with 34 gainers as well as 17 losers. And looking at the numbers, talking about top trades, we've had some other stocks that have also appreciated at the end of the day. Well, this is it on our business segment. Yeri, you can give us much more extra news from your end.
Well, thanks, Benny, for those numbers. Let's take you all the way now to Kebbi in a view to partner Kebbi State and explore investment opportunities in livestock development, meat processing and animal health. Brazilian investors have visited the popular Dodoro cattle market in Kebbi State. Correspondent Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa has more on the feasibility study.
Kebbi State is well known not only for its thriving rice farming activities, but also for its rich livestock production, with about 77 cattle markets scattered across the state, which, if fully harnessed, can significantly contribute to the state's milk and meat production needs, as well as revenue generation. To further explore and invest in livestock production, a delegation from a leading livestock production company in Brazil visited Kebbi State, accompanied by the Chief Executive Officer, Nigeria Investment Promotion Council, Hajia Aisha Rimi, who toured Dodori Cattle Market, rice mill and poultry farm to identify investment opportunities in the state.
This is definitely impressive. It is bigger than we thought. We have seen, like Fabio said, cattle with incredible genetics available for fattening and livestock production.
Your president has been to Brazil and has signed an MOU with our company to do research here to see how we can collaborate, how JBS can help your government, your state, to develop the livestock production.
We are ready to transform the system from traditional system to modern system. We are also inviting all the investors to come to Kebbi State and invest in livestock. We have whatever they like in terms of potentials.
With this, we are expecting more in the sector in terms of increase in milk, cheese and meat. So it's a welcome development.
The state recently had similar collaboration with Indonesian government on artificial insemination for improved milk and meat production. In Birnin Kebbi, Abdul Jalil Mohammed Bawa, NTA News.
Industry, the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, has inducted 862 new accountants into its membership, a significant step towards strengthening the accounting profession in Nigeria. Ifeoluwa Omoshile reports that the induction took place during the 6th session of the Mandatory Continuing Professional Development (MCPD) program held in Akure, the Ondo State capital.
Accountants play pivotal roles as financial gatekeepers in organizations, a responsibility that demands teamwork, dedication and determination to equip accountants in Nigeria with emerging standards and tools for nation building. The Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, hosted the 6th session of its 2024 Mandatory Continuing Professional Development (MCPD) in Akure. This gathering with the theme Sustainable Accounting and Economic, Social and Governance Reporting provided a platform for training and knowledge sharing on critical topics in the accounting profession.
Accounting as a profession grows daily. There are updates every now and then. And if you do not give them the updates, it's like you will not build the economy.
Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa represented commended Anand for its unwavering commitment to upholding the standards of the accounting profession in Nigeria. Speakers at the session highlighted the importance of integrity, transparency, and adherence to global financial reporting standards in accounting practices, emphasizing their role in fostering accountability and professionalism.
The person must be competent in his area of service.
In Akure, Ifeoluwa Amoshule, NTA News.
Meanwhile, 67% is the score bagged by the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning for successfully implementing the federal government's key priorities in the first 3 quarters of 2024. The Central Delivery Coordinating Units for the implementation of the 8 presidential priorities and ministerial deliverables gave the rating during the presentation of the ministry's scorecard. Nika Oko has all the details.
The Central Delivery Coordination Unit focused on the ministry's progress in driving economic growth, reforming the economy, and promoting sustainable development. With 67% rating, the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination says the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning has demonstrated its capacity to deliver on the federal government's agenda, although room for improvement remains.
I would like us to look at additional deliverables that speak to what we've been doing that have not been captured, that are recognized as high impact so that we can capture them. All of us in government know that data is what we need, and data sits here.
As we all know, the presidential priorities and ministerial deliverables are central to government's agenda. They serve as cornerstone of our efforts to transform our nation, addressing both immediate needs and laying the foundation for long-term sustainable growth.
The performance assessment is part of the federal government's efforts to ensure accountability and transparency in the implementation of its policies and programs. The exercise is expected to be replicated across all ministries in Abuja. Nneka Oko, NTA News.
Let's look at other news now, as electricity distribution companies have alerted their customers of power outage following another grid collapse, as the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, says any request for upward review of electricity tariff must be backed by quality of supply to customers. This is coming as a utility company in Abuja State approached the Commission requesting for upward review of tariff for electricity customers in Abuja from January 2025. As the public hearing in Abuja on the request for tariff increase, the Abuja Power submits that its request is hinged on inflation, cost of gas, among other factors, to enable it recover cost of production and invest on infrastructure for improved service delivery. Representatives of electricity consumers in Abuja says any increase in tariff at the moment will impact negatively on the cost of doing business in the commercial nerve center of the Southeast. The regulator assures all parties in Abuja that it will study all submissions before taking its decision on whether or not to approve the tariff increase.
When your customers are happy, they will be willing to pay more to you so that you can also improve on your operational performance. I think that aspect you really need to look at it critically. The other thing that will be part of your review of your application has to do with the power purchase agreement between you and your sister company.
Let's look at women matters now. Women across various royal clans in Nigeria have converged on Abuja for the inaugural session of the Association of Women Traditional Title Holders. It is to add their voices to calls to redefine values and preserve Nigeria's cultural heritage for peace and national integration. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
This gathering is a royal one, and the characters represent the destiny of the female gender in deepening cultural relations and building bridges for national cohesion. Now, to function in unity, The body of the Association of Women Traditional Title Holders is meeting for the first time to set priorities and embrace new approaches to their traditional roles.
These women who hold esteemed roles within their communities often bridge the gap between tradition and modernity.
We will bring numbers of women, either 10, 20, and educate them, teach them, then from there they will not teach others.
The association says it will continue to collaborate with royal fathers across Nigeria to preserve the rich heritage and tradition of the Nigerian people and beyond.
Our first General Congress is not just a formality, but official flag of our collective mission, one rooted in the values of empowerment, unity, and cultural preservation.
Paper presentation on women and the girl's child featured prominently during
providing tasty, nourishing family meals is all that matters. The world needs moms, because where there are moms, there is hope, happiness, and love. Golden Terra Oil, or pure love.
Thank you for being there. The federal government has identified 4 critical thematic areas as priorities for the development of national youth policy designed to empower young people, enhance their skills, and promote their active participation in society. This was at the 7th National Council on Youth Development in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Olainka Ojo was there.
Oftentimes, Nigerian youths complain of their challenges.
Faced with unemployment, now the jobs are not there, the jobs are available and not sufficient. Population explosion.
We don't have support from the government first.
Youth inclusiveness in government. The idea of apathy, the idea of it doesn't concern me, shouldn't be there.
Now, it is time to address the challenges they face using key areas of governance, jobs, skills and innovation, culture, behavioral change, as well as human capital development.
And we are able to engage our youth in all these areas. We can be sure that we actually transform them for economic development.
The theme, transforming and repositioning the Nigerian youth to thrive and catalyze economic development, provides a comprehensive framework to empower and uplift the younger generation, as well as ensure that they have tools and support to thrive in the society.
In the area of youth entrepreneurship, in the area of youth scholarship, in the area of youth education.
Interventions moving forward must be.
I have fortified them. Omira, you are caught.
Let's talk sports. Bade is here. Bade.
Many thanks, Nyere. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has attributed the success of the 2024 African Military Games to adequate preparations and planning, as well as the support from the federal government and sports stakeholders in the country. The CDS revealed this in a soon-to-be-aired interview with NTA Sports.
Well, the secret is firstly that the determination you have, the mindset you want to succeed, because you must believe in yourself. I believe in this is what I want, this is what I wanted the armed forces to go through, and I was able to build up a team, again, because you must understand you can't do it alone. You need a team. So we got the team there, and they were very committed, and they saw the vision. And I was always there to guide, to ensure that they remain focused. And then we were able to get the right people again from the Federation that also keyed into it, including the consultants. So that made it a lot. So we remained very focused as to what we wanted.
The first part of the interview with the Chief of Defense Staff comes up this Saturday at 3 in the afternoon on NTA Network. Join us. Now, the National Sports Commission has activated the Adopt an Athlete training grant with Nigeria's track and field star Ese Brume as the first recipient following her involvement in a ghastly motor accident. The chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, and the Director General, Bukola Olokpade, said the initiative is in fulfillment of President Tinubu's vision to boost sports economy in Nigeria through public-private partnership.
One of the people that we've spoken to
who are determined to contribute to a pulse that we are creating for federations and for athletes to benefit from, has agreed to adopt SA and pay SA's training grants every year until she retires. And that starts the grant for athletes.
Now, the Nigerian Association of Sports Medicine, NASMED, is celebrating the appointment of Dr. Sam Ogbodemino, an active member of the association, on his appointments as member of the Medical Advisory Panel of World Netball. Speaking in Abuja, President of NASMED, Dr. Olajide Adebola, who described the appointment as a boost to sports medicine community in Nigeria, charged Ogbodemino to use his advisory role to promote netball medicine in Nigeria and Africa. All right, before we go, let's inform you that the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has awarded the hosting rights of the 2034 World Cup to Saudi Arabia, and of course, they confirmed Spain, Portugal, and Morocco as hosts for the 2030 World Cup. 3 matches in the 2030 tournament will also be held in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And that's our beat on sports. Let's now return to Nyere.
Many thanks, Badi, for that update. And that's our bit on News Extra this Wednesday. Many thanks for being a part of it. Do have a great night.